for what they do and saying, we understand you work hard and you carry the burden of these economies. Give them the respect and start there, because we tend to treat informal like it's this dirty sector, but we just want to tax them. And that's...
You must have a program of formalization of the informal sector. Disabuse them of the notion that you want them to formalize because you want their taxes. No. Educate them that by formalization, they have access to more capital, yes, a recognition in law, and no one can divest them of any of their properties.
Yes.
But anyway, I'm sorry I interrupted.
It's the same point, President, I wanted to make, that we need to facilitate them to formalize their business. We just don't push them so that they become or remain informal. So it's the point.
Thank you. And to formalize, we need to educate civil servants to approach them in such a way that it's non-antagonistic, it's not patronizing, it's together we move forward. And this is a whole process. But I love that we are on this tangent. I want us on the panel to take this opportunity to speak directly to the stakeholders in this room. So to the former presidents, to the president, to Daktari, we will finish on time, don't worry, don't worry. Who would you want to speak to in this room? Who do you want to really rise up to an occasion? What is bothering you right now, and what do they need to do when we're talking about transformation for sustainable development and financing? And I will start with you, please, Honorable Mkapa.
Me?
Yes, nobody? Even the media, no? Nobody you want to...
I will have closing remarks.
Okay, thank you, thank you. President Kagame, looking at the stakeholders in this room, who do you challenge and who do you want to rise to the occasion?
Well, all of them, I guess they... I guess they were listening when you were discussing these things. I think they need to just take note of it and do things for real, and so that we stop the cycle of repeating ourselves. We seem to know everything that needs to be done, or what the problem is and what the possible solutions are. We just need to get going, each one contributing their part, and we do what we need to do.
Thank you, everyone. Let's just do it. Your Excellency Mohammed, who would you like to speak to in this room?
Well, I would have said the media people.
Okay.
It's very important to pass the message, the right message, particularly when we're talking issue of the mindset, the issue of the integrity, accountability. All this is a sort of public education, and I think media is the best place to disseminate those elements to the society at the age of the social media particularly, and not the recent phenomena of fake news and all this to be emphasized, but this substantial issue for our societies to know that these are the challenges, why we are not developing, why we are backward, why our politics are sometimes have problems, why. All these are issues that needs addressing to the society, and the media, I think they have to have their own role. Of course, they also have their own challenges. The point that's the issue of the media. The point that I was just raising my hand was, one, the issue of the informality of the economy, informality of the business, informality of all this is true in many countries, particularly the issue I was talking about, the fragile countries or post-conflict countries where the systems are still weak. One important is people, they want to do business. As President said now, people going through the jungle, they are not bad people, but there are circumstances that compel them to do that. So the informality itself, there are circumstances that compels people to do the informal thing. That's one. Number one. The other thing is maybe one of these problems might be solved with the continental free trade area that's undergoing now, because many African countries, they have a challenge of compatibility with the standards set in the West. We cannot compete many of the standards that has been set in the issue. Regulatory, quality, so many other issues that exist. The latest point that I would like to add is that the issue of the remittances that I was saying now is a lifeline for Somalia. It facing a very serious challenge of issue of compatibility. The end user, who is he, and who is the end user? An old grandmother who is living in a very remote village is sent $100 from Minnesota, London, Stockholm, wherever. And then the person is asked, who is the end user? What is the identity and this? And 80 years old who's living far away in the mountains or in the jungle, how can? So many of banks and many of countries, they stopped the remittance now because we don't know the end user.
So again, set our own system.
So by having our own system at continental level, by trading among us, while the banana I'm sending to Europe has certain standards, but the banana I may send some other countries in North Africa, for example, might not have that type of standards.
Although we don't want to lose standards, but
we don't want to lose the standards,
right.
but our own ones.
Right.
Our own ones with our own conditions and our own realities.
Thank you so much for that. Dr. Muhisa Kitui, I'd like to do this. Who do you want to speak to in this?
I would like to speak to my generation of African public intellectuals,
Okay.
public officers, heads of international institutions, government officers, and political leaders. When we grew up, we were structured to think about development as an engagement with the industrialized North, that we look to them by certain agreed norms of what macroeconomic development should be to see how they can help us to grow. Today, we are living in a very hostile environment with the rising voices of protectionism, with some leaders calling our continent with very unpleasant names, with shortening global production networks because of technology enabling them to conquer the challenge of labor, redomesticating textile production in Georgia, for example, meaning even the projected markets for our export are under threat. Projected sources of development finance are drying up. We have to unlearn what we learned and learn new realities about how we are going to drive development in Africa. We have a collective responsibility to see how to optimize domestic resources, how to separate and criminalize personal appetites that exceed responsibility for high office, demonstrate that we can learn to stigmatize political thieves. I mean, it is this simple. And I think collectively, we can unlock the potential, which if we fail, is going to create a major crisis because of an army of unemployed, educated African youth.
Right. Unlearn and relearn. I'm coming to the floor now. We want to take maybe 3 comments, 4 if we can. We have a mic here. Can I see the hands, please? Yes, gentlemen. Thank you. I see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. My name is Mohamed Chambers. I'm the Special Representative of UN Secretary General for West Africa and Sahel. And I just wanted to take up on the point you made about Libya and the documentary that you saw. The immediate consequences are in the Sahel in particular. And it's a very sad story we see there of growing instability, violent extremism. But we need also to have a positive story out of the Sahel and look at the opportunities and not just harp on the very, frankly, disturbing security situation there. And in that context, under the leadership of our sister, the Deputy Secretary General, Amina Mohamed, mobilizing the UN system, Vera, and all of us, and working closely with the Africa Union. We have been working on a support plan for the Sahel, which emphasizes on the opportunities which are there. I mean, for instance, in renewable energy, the solar possibilities are enormous, which if they are tapped and harnessed, working with private sector, etc., can indeed enable a lot of transformation of agricultural produce there also, which is there. We have the River Niger, which has for